It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? If you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. Choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
This is your before and after story. Southeastern College can help you prepare for a secure and fulfilling career in the growing healthcare field. We offer a wide range of careers to choose from. So whether you want to be a medical assistant, medical billing and coding specialist, nurse, surgical technologist, or another healthcare career, we've got you covered. Become a vital part of a healthcare team and make a real difference. Southeastern College, your future is bright. Visit sec.edu to get started.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Halftime show has become a phenomenon we've discussed usually the day after each Super Bowl, the last, I don't know how many, maybe a dozen, where you start to think that as the thing has morphed into something allegedly bigger or more anticipated, that it can rarely possibly match whatever that expectation is supposed to be. And you get into the issue of how mainstream do you need to get? How accessible does it have to be to a greater number of individuals? How big is the name? Does it have to be a big name now or a big name before? And if you don't particularly like that genre of music, are you capable still of saying, but a good show, interesting look to it, had a good vibe to it? I tend to think a lot of people dismiss immediately because they don't relate to the music. Now, I'm not saying that's illegal, but I'm saying I'm not sure that's necessarily a meaningful measuring stick of how it should be viewed. And maybe if you don't know the music or you can't relate to it, then you go, well, how can I? I mean, I don't know how to rate it if I'm just not that familiar with the tunes or with the music. It was Kendrick Lamar, correct? Mm-hmm. It was all about him. He'd been part of the ensemble Super Bowl that you loved, right? Was that the LA one?
Was he part of that? I guess I didn't remember that.
I thought he was. Somebody will correct me.
With Snoop, Dr. Dre,
I thought
Eminem,
he might have been. He had something there. I'm not sure. Help me out on one aspect of the story. So there's been this ongoing feud between Kendrick Lamar and, is it Usher?
It's Drake.
Oh, Drake. I'm sorry.
Off to a good start.
By the way, didn't Usher host?
Yes.
Usher hosted
recently.
and did very well, I think.
Yeah.
Probably considered more mainstream to an extent,
Usher?
Correct? Usher?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this ongoing battle between, Drake and Kendrick Lamar. And I know there are a lot of people who are aroused by the way it continued to play out during the course of his presentation at the half. And they're like, whoa, man.
Drake hates this.
Drake, they got him again. I'll tell you what, man. I hope Drake's sitting down. Here's my only question. At some point during this whole process, the back of this alleged rivalry or whatever, this effort by Kendrick Lamar to mock and ridicule Drake, does anybody have the thought, Kendrick, you're clever, but are you the one who's too consumed with this thing? Because you never seem to want to stop. Now, maybe I missed a couple steps from Drake, and it is literally back and forth.
Yeah.
But at some point, Kendrick got him again, it's like, well, who's in whose head if that's constantly something that now has become part of the Kendrick Lamar brand, that he's got to go after him again? At what point do you go, okay, you got him. Now, how about moving on with something else? Or we're going to start to think that he's actually in your head more than you're willing to admit, even if people on your side think you've dissed him successfully again.
That's the question I had, too. halftime show was fine. I know a couple of his songs. I know it's not necessarily for me, which I can always get behind. It doesn't have to be exactly for what I want to listen to or what I want to see. But at some point, do the people that are in to the Kendrick Lamar and Drake feud and beef, do they even care this much?
That's the question.
How many Easter eggs you dropped in the 12-minute things to let Drake know that you were getting him again, whether it was SZA or Serena or Game Over with the lights at the end? Like at some point,
it was
who cares this much about the Kendrick Lamar-Drake feud?
Exactly. To me, it takes away from your own talent where it's become this much of the bit, and you don't. At some point, for me, you don't look clever. You look consumed. You look obsessed. You're at halftime of the Super Bowl. And to me, in an odd sort of way, you're giving your alleged rival through all this nonsense more attention than he deserves, right? Just do the best show that you can do and don't make it so much about that. Look, maybe I'm a fraud because when it comes to two athletes who go at it back and forth, I admit, I kind of get it can be entertaining. I kind of get into it a little bit. But this one, I just feel like, and every time it's like, oh man, Kendrick got him again. He just got, well, okay, how many times does he need to get him before he moves on with the rest of his life and says, I'm just going to do a show, and guess my new diss is going to be I'm going to ignore him. It's never going to come up. Now, one of his most popular songs is a diss in itself, right? It's hard not to play that song, correct?
Yeah, there's a couple of them.
Or a couple of them. But to me, that's the part that's like, God, okay. I mean, it seems like he's in your head. Could be your signature moment. The entire world is watching Super Bowl 59 at the half. That's what we've come to right now. It's as big as it gets for a performer, right? Now, he's big already. It's not like I'm saying he needs it to be clinched.
No.
But it's like, this is it. So why don't you surprise people and don't make it about him, or we're going to start thinking that he's in your pretty little head. So anyway, that's my thought.
I agree with you. Because it did seem that was the whole point. Now, I guess if the whole point is I only wanted to do the Super Bowl halftime show just to do all of these things, I didn't really need it. It's not really my thing, but I'm doing it just to really put the hammer down on Drake. I guess he won, but I can't imagine caring so much about the feud if you're just an audience member and keeping score. Did you see that? Oh my God, Serena was there. She used to be with Drake. They're both from Compton. She did the Crip Walk. Oh, Drake's got to hate that. Serena went along with it.
She was effective. I would say that.
Serena's awesome.
She was very effective in it.
Although Stephen A. didn't like it. Did you see what he said?
What did he say?
He said, if I'm Serena's husband, the Reddit guy, Alex Ohanian,
right.
He's going, why are you with me, but you're ganging up to diss one of your exes at the Super Bowl? Like, what? I'm not cool with that. It was great. It was a hilarious conversation with Shannon and Ryan Clark and Orlovsky. You didn't even know what city he was in while all this was going on. It was really good. It was great.
Yeah, well, a lot of good texts are coming in that we're going to get to. I want to try to put a grand in somebody's hand, though. Can we do that right now?
We can try to mix that up. Yeah, credit is the keyword for the 4 o'clock hour. If you want to enter our national cash contest, go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword credit.
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Dan, sorry if you covered this earlier, but let's say Glenn Taylor wins the arbitration case. We're expecting an announcement any minute. Does A-Rod/Lore still maintain their 20 to 30% ownership, or do they get a refund for what they have already paid? That's Seth in Brooklyn Park. My assumption, based on the level of bad blood that now exists between the two parties, is that A-Rod and Lore will want to go home. They'll want out. They'll want no part of hanging around the organization. They'll want no part of sitting in the beautiful people's seats, because that plan was already originally where we're being groomed to then become the people in charge. And they already were to a certain extent. That didn't happen. So I would be stunned if Taylor wins and Lori and or A-Rod hang around. My guess is they'd find another project. I mean, people have speculated might it be the Twins. I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, is there enough bad blood that they say, okay, we'll show Taylor. We're going to stay in town, and we're going to end up winning this town over because we're going to make the Twins whole in a way that they've never been before. What's the Twins' price supposed to be?
Wasn't it about $1.5 billion?
So that's
I
less
could be
than
wrong,
the Wolves, isn't it?
Yeah, that makes sense, though. I think MLB franchises right now are less than.
I mean, I assume A-Rod is not shy about a baseball team unless he's got someplace else that he'd rather do that. I don't know. But if they lose, they ain't hanging around.
No.
There's too much enmity at this point. It's hatred. Any update from Johnny?
No. Haven't seen anything.
He is scheduled now for 5:15. A lot of people are speculating maybe they make the announcement on who wins the ruling right at the end of the business day, which obviously would be 5 o'clock. Are the arbitrators toying with the emotions of everybody? Are they enjoying this whole bit? Why? The other question I have is it possible that even though today was supposed to be the day, that it won't be at all? I mean, do we even have confirmation from anyone that somebody in authority representing the three arbitrators or arbiters is saying, yes, today will be the day we're going to do it?
I thought we already knew that February 10th was the drop-dead deadline.
We did, but that doesn't. Maybe they come up, they say, well, we had a complication, or we had something else we had to check, and it's going to be the 11th, or it's going to be the 12th, or it's going to be the 13th. Maybe they're waiting for the All-Star break. I don't know.
Well, they might. That is another one, because then that's this weekend, so you could do the Friday news dump.
Right. That's true.
But what's annoying about the whole close of business day thing is since the pandemic, close of business has basically been 4, hasn't it?
Yes, pretty much.
I mean, don't most people leave now about 4 o'clock?
That's true.
In the regular jobs. It's more of an 8 to 4 bit now than a 9 to 5. I thought that was pretty well established. I know you and I don't necessarily work 9 to 5 jobs, but I thought most of our 9 to 5 friends, I thought 4 o'clock was the new 5 o'clock. So it's 4:20 here. Let's go. Let's get this thing done.
I don't.
Let's get the word out.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you at all. So as soon as we hear something, we will certainly.
What's funny is the guys that cover the Wolves, Johnny, Jace, Dane Moore,
they're all exasperated.
But not a lot of them haven't commented on anything at all today. Like not even, hey, they play the Cavs tonight.
What do you make of that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they're all at the Embers.
That game's in Cleveland, right?
It is, yeah, 6 o'clock. That's why we're out early.
763 guy writes, it wouldn't be the first time A-Rod has owned the Twins.
Yeah, well.
It's a well-played line. Mm-hmm. It's familiar, but decent. I have no problem with that. If Drake performs at the next Super Bowl, does he win the diss battle?
Yeah, what do you do then?
It's a great question. I hope that they move away from this. I think there's other battles I'd be more interested in at some point. It's like, let's move on. Let's figure something out. Or let's have a duel. Let's have an old-fashioned duel.
Like a battle?
Yeah, do it that way. Hold on. This was a good one. This is a good rip on me. I'm just trying to find it. Well, there's several, but this is the right one, I think. The songs he performed also happen to be his current hits. He's released them recently, and people are listening to it, so it makes sense that he would perform.
No disagreement there.
I mean, in fact, Europe's. There was another one that was more vicious on me. Yeah, and I brought that up. I think I even said that to a certain extent that's true. But the people who have reviewed this thing start to finish say it was start to finish. There were flourishes or there were subtle nuances that all seem to go back to the diss.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we know Not Like Us is maybe the ultimate diss track.
Yes.
Great song.
Yes.
You can't. Every gym in America, every stadium in America right now is playing Not Like Us. You can't miss it. It's a great song. It's a banger. It started during the Wolves playoff season, run last year is when that song dropped. It's wonderful. But there's so much more than that during the show that was directly related to the feud.
You're upset that he won't let go of predatory acts committed by Drake? Communicating with underage women is fine. It's about raising concerns towards the acts committed by Drake and many others in the Hollywood music industry.
That's part of what the feud's about. But
yeah, I love it, but no. You're giving, I would say in this case, Kendrick Lamar more credit. If that's really what you're about, there's obviously very serious, less poppy ways to get that point across that might resonate on that particular level. There's no defending that. Maybe he has a variant of TDS, traumatized by Drake syndrome. Traumatized by Drake syndrome. Glenn Mason feels the same way towards Tim Brewster. It's very similar to the Lamar-Drake feud. That's Solomon Blaine.
You're wrong.
So Kendrick Lamar is not supposed to play the biggest song of the year because you think he's overdoing it? That was the one I was looking for. We acknowledge that he has to play it, but there was a lot more to the ongoing dissing than that, unless people are reading too much into it. I don't know. Halftime show was all right, much better than the opening songs. The band members were louder than the vocalists. Was that a problem? I have heard that complaint.
We hear that a lot about just being able to hear the actual performer in the Super Bowl.
Can you talk about the political message? You're missing a lot of the performance if you're ignoring the politics. What was the political message?
I don't know. There was an American flag, right, for part of it. And then obviously having Uncle Sam.
That was
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, right. Is the Kendrick Lamar-Drake feud similar to you and Gerby? I hope not. I'd rather not think that.
We've got other feuds that people don't even know about. We have so many feuds here, but we don't go Kendrick Lamar on the bit.
Dan, I get the symbolism with Uncle Sam and the Amazon pendant in the prison, et cetera, et cetera. Why does the Super Bowl have to have a message? Why can't it just be about singing and music, having fun? I love his hip hop and rap, but as most people, we just don't understand what he's singing. Doesn't have to do with the genre or culture. I'll save it for the next segment. I'm glad he triggered me on that. And by the way, to this end, Kessler, I'm not sure if he was doing it to get me going or he just did it. Absolutely met the moment when it comes to reviewing the halftime show and comparing it to you-know-who.
Well, boy.
It was brilliant.
Right on time?
Just brilliantly executed for sure. Do we know who the entertainment is for next year? I assume that's already established, or not so much.
I don't think so.
They don't go that far in advance?
I think it's usually 8-9 months in advance, unless I've completely missed it.
In order for Rodgers to want to come to Minnesota, he'll have to come to terms that he might not play the entire season. He hated having Love in his shadow. I don't see him wanting that with McCarthy. Well, no, but he's arrogant enough to say, well, I will play the entire season because it'll be so good that the kid will have to sit another year. Sorry.
It also is different. The Love thing has to do with he really still thought he may have been the best quarterback in football at that point and didn't like that they had a kid behind him ready to go and that they didn't use that draft pick on someone that could actually help him.
You know what you do? In all seriousness, this is what you do, and you can do this quietly. You can do this without anybody knowing if you play your cards right. Hell, the biggest trade in the history of professional sports, certainly the NBA, was kept a secret. Right? Why can't a darkness retreat in which both A-Raj and KOC escape to that same darkness? Why can't that happen? And then you find out. You find out if A-Raj and KOC can find out if they're compatible.
KOC wants to spend time with his family this summer. He doesn't want to go sit in a cave with Aaron Rodgers.
You don't think?
No, not the KOC I know.
Well, he's collaborative.
He's got, his beautiful wife, Leah, who was with him at the NFL Honors. Doesn't he have like 6 kids? Didn't they just have another kid?
Yeah, they got a lot of kids.
He wants to spend time with his family.
I noticed, though, he wasn't in the front row. Darnold was. Is that like a pecking order that coaches never get in the front row and players do?
I don't know. Where'd Belichick sit? Well, he was a presenter, and he's not an NFL coach anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Anyway, that's it. So let's do this. We'll stay on schedule.
Kessler really did play the hits there.
He did. This
I
is
just
perfect.
pulled it up.
We'll discuss that when we come back. And sort of what I set up via Twitter yesterday, which was not disappointing either. Half wittingly, half unwittingly, what took place when I set the whole thing up. And then we'll prepare for Nacho Lieber, get his Super Bowl 59 reaction. Johnny Athletic in the 5, we hope, with reaction to who the hell is going to be majority owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves going forward.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper? A woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver. If you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. Choose from hundreds of social casino style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
The Super Bowl featured almost yearly blowouts. The kids don't believe it because they've had so many close games, but they were made familiar once again with the possibility that a Super Bowl can end up being a rout. And that, frankly, is exactly what took place last night in Super Bowl number 59 in New Orleans, Louisiana. The Philadelphia Eagles dominating virtually from start to finish. We'll certainly get back to the breaking news on the fact that the winners of the Wolves ownership arbitration hearings are A-Rod and Marc Lore. Johnny Athletic will join at 5:15, and we'll have plenty of time going all the way till 6 to go deep into that huge bit of news. But let's get back to the Super Bowl for a couple minutes with Nacho. He is with us via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline. I don't know who you picked in Super Bowl 59. I doubt you picked a route, though. Or are you that smart that you said, don't assume because they're evenly matched teams that automatically you're going to have a close game? Because sometimes, if they're evenly matched, it can turn out on this day, one team ends up being a lot better than the other. So were you smarter than the rest of us, and did you pick the Eagles to destroy the Chiefs the way they did?
All right, Dan, can I be a little braggadocious here?
Yes.
Okay, so I actually did not think that it was evenly matched. I actually thought that the Eagles were the far superior team.
Interesting.
Outside of maybe the quarterback position, I thought they dominated every other position group. I'm like, pick a group, and the Eagles have the better talent. I thought they'd win by 10 or more. I did not expect this sort of route. But yeah, I mean, let's just say I was very happy with what everybody thought was a very boring game.
Yeah.
I admit, in the fourth quarter, I even kind of tuned out mentally, but I loved the trouncing that the Eagles gave them.
So, specific area, I mean, a lot of the breaking down of the All-22 today has to do along the line of scrimmage, especially Eagles' defensive line versus the Chiefs' offensive line, and the fact that Eagles didn't even have to blitz, and yet they made Patrick Mahomes, an all-world quarterback, look utterly and completely lost, feeble, and pedestrian. So is that was that the biggest part of the mismatch to you going in, or was it elsewhere?
No, I just thought, that was one part of it. I thought the other side of the ball, I thought the Eagles had the advantage on their offensive line as well. I mean, that was, the first thing the Fox broadcast talked about was just the enormous size on average that the Eagles offensive line had. And outside of that, that was the reason why they're so good running the football. That's the reason why Jalen Hurts has had a lot of time to throw the ball. And so, yes, winning the trenches, I thought definitely was going to go the way of the Eagles, and it certainly worked out that way. And I think you mentioned the most important part of the defense. They didn't have to blitz, you have to go back a long time ago, kind of appropriate that we talk about this and Jared Allen getting into the NFL Hall of Fame. But, when we were playing all together in that group, we didn't have to blitz much either. We relied on those guys. It was a very boring version of cover two. And when you don't have to blitz and you can play just coverage, it gave a lot of quarterbacks a lot of fits. And that's what you saw what happened with Patrick Mahomes is he didn't understand what coverage they were in. And then when you see 7 guys back there taking away all the windows, and they do such a good job with the pass rush lanes, and he had no choice but to stay in the pocket or scramble just quickly outside the pocket, he was confused. And he was, like a lot of teams that played the Eagles this year, he was dumbfounded on how to beat the defense.
Was there ever a point in the first half, or even at halftime, where you said, you can't rule out the possibility that they're going to get back in this thing? Or did you already feel like, I am a genius, and no, just the eye test tells me there ain't no miracle coming for Kansas City?
Well, I mean, I didn't say that to myself, but I did not think that the Chiefs had the firepower to come back, mainly because once at that point in time, it was all about just limiting possessions by Kansas City. And I know that Kansas City ended up having a big play down the field, but you look at the way their offense was built this year, their number of air yards per pass attempt was very low.
Light. Yep.
And they talked about how much of a West Coast system they ran this year. And, Patrick really didn't have to do much the whole season. They played great defense.
Yep.
He took care of the football, and he just dumped the ball down all the time. It was a lot of yards after the catch. And so when you have that philosophy and you don't have a big play offense, they would have to basically score a touchdown in every single possession in the second half. So I just knew that eventually they were going to score, but they're never going to come back and win the game.
So we get into the issue, the age-old issue of what can literally a change at defensive coordinator be the difference. Vic Fangio, highly accomplished, right, as a great defensive mind, yes. A number of different places. The Eagles hire him after a season in which I think they literally finished dead last in points allowed a year ago. Mm-hmm. And the reversal in every statistical category is massive, right? So, you can freshen my memory about how many changes they made within the defense itself as well. But is this proof that literally that kind of change can make that big of a difference, or is it more complicated than that?
No, I think that sometimes it can be that simple. If you feel like you have the right personnel to make a transition into a different philosophy and you guys can go out there and execute, it can be that simple of just, hey, instead of a defense where we're going to do X, Y, and Z, we're going to do a little bit of the opposite. We're going to hope that some of our first-round draft picks, mature and from one year to the next, and they get a little bit more football savvy, and they can just cause havoc up front. Then, yeah, in this particular situation, it was that simple, and I think that's really encouraging for a lot of teams out there, where they're like, all right, we can add a couple pieces on the defensive front, and it can dramatically change the outcomes of games.
Is Jalen Carter like anybody, or maybe the question is he unlike anybody else? I mean, give the casual fan a football-y view of why Jalen Carter dominates to the degree that he does.
Well, it's quickness off the ball, and it's sheer just size, strength, and tenacity. And it's a little bit like Haloti Ngata when he was younger. It's like he's hard to stop even when he was older in age. Mm-hmm. But when he was younger, it's just like, man, how do you stop this behemoth? When he gets going with that quick first step and he gets both hands on you, I don't care what sort of leverage you think that you have. There's not a lot of guys that consistently through, what called 50 snaps a game are going to stop him. And, I know I'm making it sound very simple that you're just like, oh, just go out and find a guy like that. They don't grow on trees all the time. So it is a little difficult to really target the right guy. But I think, again, there's a formula there that hopefully even the Vikings would want to follow and just find this fierce pass rusher on the inside that can just be disruptive.
So where do we, the ongoing debate or discussion always centers around the winning quarterback, especially if it's a quarterback who, in terms of, these subjective ratings we all do, isn't in that top tier. He's been good, but I'm not sure he belongs in the top tier. So what do we say now, I guess, about the Eagles QB? I mean, how did he play yesterday? Does this give him a new measure of credibility? In your mind, did he already have it and people were not giving him enough credit? Who is he and what is he at this point among the best quarterbacks?
Well, I've always had a lot of respect for him and thought that he was better than maybe people thought. But let's be honest. I mean, winning the big game, especially in the way that he did, where he made a bunch of clutch throws, he used his legs when he had to. He's not necessarily a running quarterback, but they'll have some design stuff for him, and he'll scramble around and buy some time. But he's just being athletic. I think there is a fine line, the difference between being like a dual threat quarterback and just being an athletic quarterback that can also pass and throw the ball. So I think that his stock certainly went up. I still think that he's just in the bottom of a top 10 quarterback. I don't think that he's a top 5 quarterback, but that's still respectable.
And he's not that. I mean, isn't he I think he's like 26, I want to say. He's still, he may get better. I don't know. There's always that chance, given that we usually say, a lot of quarterbacks reach their ultimate prime a few years down the road. And refresh my memory on this. I think, didn't he have a really good game in the first Super Bowl matchup between these two teams? I thought he was good in that game, and obviously Mahomes being Mahomes, but I thought he was good in that game too.
Yeah, no, he was good in that game. I don't remember all the stats, but he certainly wasn't the reason why.
Right.
They lost that game. So, he's going to wear it though that he played poorly and he didn't do enough. I should say, maybe not play poorly, but I just really respected his demeanor, his very steely personality, this hyper focus. And he's certainly walked the walk. Some guys can say all the right things and like, hey, I'm using this as motivation for the next time that we're going to get back here. And he really believed it. He is on record saying, that their destiny and fate's been written, and he truly believed it. And I think, these great athletes, when they truly believe something, usually it's just a matter of time until they accomplish it.
Yeah, very much so. I'm looking at his stats from the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. 27 for 38, 304 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, 15 carries, 70 yards. That ain't bad. That's a line you say, well, that's a winning quarterback right there. So he has done very well in the Super Bowl games. So Barkley, obviously, largely held in check, but you could say he still served a purpose because clearly Kansas City sold out to stop him and said, all right, we're going to take our chances with whether they can throw the ball and do other things. Does Barkley's influence and success through much of this season and even the postseason do anything to, quote-unquote, bring the running back, or is that a fool's game because there ain't that many Saquon Barkleys that you're going to be able to go out and find?
No, I definitely think that the era of the running back is coming back. And, yeah, you're not going to
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
This is your before and after story. Instead of imagining a rewarding career in medical imaging, Southeastern College can actually take you there. Prepare for a career in ultrasound, radiology, and X-ray technology. With hands-on specialized training, simulations, and real-life experience with the latest imaging technology, you'll be ready to play a vital role on any healthcare team. Transform your life by helping others. Southeastern College. Your future is bright. Visit scc.edu to get started.
Buy 5 quarts of Castrol Edge Full Synthetic Motor Oil and get a $15 gift card after rebate, plus 2 times points at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.